I was thinking today about a couple of experiences I had as a beginning driver. I found myself in the car one time with an older friend of mine, a scientist, a very clever man, and we were approaching an intersection where we wanted to turn right. So he looked to the left, and only to the left, and he started twirling his steering wheel to the right, and he completed the turn to the right without ever having looked to the right. And being as I was the guy on the right, and I was the one of us that might have been a nice target for objects coming from the right, I wanted to know, and I asked him in a nice way, why it was that he hadn't found it necessary to look to the right. And he started laughing at me, and I was thinking of a goat, or a galloping horse, or a comet, and he kept laughing, and he explained to me that it was impossible for objects to be coming from the right. And the reason was this certain traffic sign on the side of the road where the words "one way street" stood. So I was embarrassed. I had doubt in this very clever man, and he explained it to me, and chalk up one for the scientist. So anyway, this reminds me of a story that happened while I was up at college. I knew this certain professor. He didn't know me, of course, and I had an inordinate amount of respect for him. I say inordinate because I had never actually talked to the man, and for all I knew, I guess he could have been a total idiot. But anyway, I saw him around campus now and again, and I read his books, and it never would have occurred to me to just walk up to the man and talk to him. I didn't want to take up his precious time, being as I had so much respect for him. So it really surprised me one day. After a class, I was driving back home, and I saw him on the side of the road, and when he saw me, he started waving at me. So I thought, well, I guess he does know who I am after all. So I started waving back, and he motioned for me to stop, and so I pulled over and rolled down the window, and he stuck his head inside the window before the window was even totally open, and he was out of breath. Apparently he'd run from some distance, and I said something like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he was so out of breath he could hardly speak. He just pointed at a certain traffic sign of the side of the road that he wanted me to see. And I was embarrassed. I didn't know what to say, because here I was thinking, maybe the professor wants me to give his regards to the scientist.